Hi, my name is Thomas Pfenning, and I work in the Windows Server organization, where I'm responsible for the file server technologies and our cluster and high availability technologies. A while back, we did an interesting trip to the financial community on Wall Street, and we met with a number of these large banks that are very, very large customers of Windows today. And we pretty much got a consistent picture that they are all suffering under the cost of storage. And it's not just the capital investment, it's also the management cost of managing these specialized networks. So with Windows Server 2012, specifically for these cloud deployments, we wanted to have scenarios where we can support Hyper-V, SQL, and IIS natively in an all-up Windows environment. And at the same time, reduce both the initial CapEx cost as well as the ongoing management cost. The way we went about that was to allow you to buy a bunch of drives, just standard cheap drives, and add the functionality into Windows to turn those cheap drives into reliable storage, and then make that available over the network so you can have centralized storage that can be leveraged by SQL, Hyper-V, as well as IIS, not using block protocols, but making that available as a standard file server protocol, and still give you the same service level agreement that you would get from a very expensive storage area network. Server 2012 really is a revolutionary release when it comes to storage, and it spans a broad range where the innovation can help our customers to get more out of their storage or deploy storage in a much more cost-efficient way. Let's start with a customer that would have a SAN array deployed today. We added some technologies in Server 2012 that allow you to offload or basically get the best out of the hardware capabilities out of the array. And one of those features is the ODX. So it's offloaded data transfer, where you can do copies or data movements hardware assisted in the array and don't have to bring the data back to Windows. We support trim up and down the stack, which means if you have thin provisioning provided by the array, we now let the file system inform the array whenever data frees up. And so the array vendors that we're working with have implemented that feature, so the data gets freed up on the array as well. When we talked to the initial round of customers trying to sort of get the scope of the release, there was an interesting observation. There was not a single customer who didn't give us feedback in that they wanted to improve the availability. So pretty much every customer told us they very much dislike the fact that once a month they have to bring down the machines to apply our patches. Well, in a virtualized environment, you can make Hyper-V run reliable on top of storage, but you can also leverage Hyper-V in these cloud deployments to make the system patch through a cluster of machines without ever taking the service down, while you still do the patching. We can now support very, very, very large volumes, not just a single 4 terabyte drive, but we can pool a number of those drives into a reliable volume, and we can provide you a much higher level of a reliable file system on top of it. We very early had joint development partners on the networking side, because we had this very high yardstick in terms of reliability and performance. And in the end, we ended up getting to some incredible numbers, really, truly incredible numbers. So between like 2 single machines, a server and a client, we can now send about 17 gigabytes per second of storage traffic over a bunch of networking links. And over the same link, we can generate more than 500,000 IOPS. And that is industry standard components. So to some degree, we have democratized how people can think about getting very, very high performance and very reliable storage. So overall, we're trying to optimize the IT environment for availability, and doing this at a price point that is not in the very, very high end, but sort of that is built around industry standard components, and implement this level of availability without requiring you to basically become a PhD in clustering, but do this available for any Windows Server administrator.
Equifax has traditionally been known as a credit reporting agency. They're far more. They've become much more an information services and data company. Availability is critical to us.
Availability is a hallmark of the service we have to provide. We are providing services that are essential to onboarding processes, salary verification processes, and they are tied into the overall economy.
We have a very large database of employment information, 9 terabytes in size, that we serve up through a website that allows verifiers to verify people's income and employment. We could do up to 70 to 75 million verifications in a single day so that we can support the SLAs for our customers.
We're looking at SLAs of 99.9% and above. I can have unplanned downtime of 20 minutes or less per month. If I have an event with a file server and I all of a sudden have those systems affected for up to an hour to 2 hours, I all of a sudden miss that SLA.
With Windows Server 2012, we don't need to be concerned in the product development team about our maintenance windows. Now it's all the operations team that's just taking nodes out of the cluster, patching and putting them back in. There's a zero impact upon us.
Where we're able to transparently take down a single node of the cluster, have our applications automatically move over to other nodes. Then we have plenty of time to work on the node we just took out of the cluster, do our patching, do any type of hardware maintenance that we need, bring it back online, and then let Windows Server 2012 rebalance the loads. To maintain a very secure environment that implies updating your environment regularly, doing assessments, and doing other maintenance items that keep things online. The impact that we had is that we had to take nodes offline sometimes in our environments or fail them over to other nodes. Windows Server 2012 makes those maintenance events not visible to our clients and therefore move towards the full 3 nines availability, including maintenance windows. It's not just a couple little fixes, it's a huge release and it's a huge different experience than what we've had before. I would call it revolutionary.